National tweaks the immigration settings to give immigrants a better shot at residency, and New Zealand First is not on site and doesn't agree. The agree to disagree clause in the coalition has been used, and Minister Erica Stanford will join me shortly to explain. But all this tinkering as the economy struggles, will it make any difference whatsoever to this economy? Has National got anything up its sleeve to kickstart the economy? Is it trying hard enough to find ways to get this thing going? Or is their best chance at a second term to point out how flaky the Greens and the diluted late-night racists are in the Te Pati Maori? For Labour to govern, it'll need both of those parties. National needs to harden up and point out the obvious that Te Pati Maori and the Greens aren't fit for government. Don't just leave it to Winston Peters. National needs to get his hands dirty. Let's go.
Are we paying these people to front up, or are we paying them to fly to Wellington to eat their lunch? Should you really lose your career for refusing to take part in a 90-minute lesson about Māori culture? This government doesn't actually have any idea how to get economic growth. Show us what you made of, Prime Minister.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief, proudly sponsored by the Brothers Green. Unlock the innate power of New Zealand botanicals to support your mobility. Try the Brothers Green New Zealand Move Joint Support Tonic and join over 20,000 other Kiwis experiencing easier movement. For as little as $1 a day, you too can experience the power of New Zealand hemp seed oil for your joint health. Head to brothersgreen.co and use code DG20 at the checkout for 20% off your first order. It's a good one. Always read the label. Take as directed. Supplementary, of course, to a balanced diet. The Brothers Green, Christchurch. Okay, g'day, good evening, welcome to the podcast. I'm Duncan Garner, and please subscribe, and thanks, of course, to our partners in crime, the Brothers Green in Christchurch. Great supplements, and thank you so much to them for partnering with us. Tonight, the tinkering with the immigration settings to attract workers to New Zealand. Erica Stanford will join me shortly, but it's another of National's rollout of small policy tweaks at a time when people are screaming out for something to be done to fix the economy. And it's simply not that easy. All the polls indicate the Greens and Te Pati Maori may be just 12 months away from seizing power under a Labour left-wing coalition. Short memories for sure, right? But National is now being blamed for this prolonged recession. So enter a party so racist it doesn't want the rest of us here, and a party so deluded when it comes to the economy, they'll take your wealth, have the capital gains tax and wealth taxes and new taxes to the tune of $88 billion. What do you reckon that would do to us here in New Zealand? Collapse the very fabric of our society, probably, and those remaining would head offshore. Winston Peters knows how to deal with these two parties, and thank heavens for that, because National looks too timid on the attack, timid on the policy, and vanilla all round. National needs to stand out, stand for something, because right now it couldn't get much worse for them. They need to stand up, stand for something. Let's go.
It's the Slam Dunk.
Okay, if National's to win, it needs to paint Te Pati Maori as deluded racists and the Greens as economic Neanderthals. Instead, it's giving Kiwis a diet of stock standard, run-of-the-mill announcements that taxpayers expect anyway. Roads, yep. Classrooms, yep. More classrooms, yep. And tweaks to immigration settings. I mean, is Erica Stanford the only one working in this government? We pay our taxes. We expect more classrooms as a bare minimum in our crowded schools where lean-tos have become far too common. This is a sort of announcement that never even used to be made. It just rolled over. Now it's up in lights because the Nats don't appear to have much else. But it's worse than that. Check out Christopher Luxon's wooden and stiff approach. Does he even know what he's announcing? And then compare it to Erica Stanford. Bright, passionate, knowledgeable, and knows the local school and the school principal that she's in her electorate, of course. Look at this.
Today, we're announcing a $413 million investment package that will bring forward a significant volume of maintenance work on school property to help boost the construction sector. This will mean more work for tradies, more work for electricians and plumbers, and many more workers around the country. And with that, I'll let Erica talk you through the details of the announcement.
Well, can I just start by saying a huge thank you to Albany Junior High School for hosting us today, and for Kushla, the principal, who I know very well. This is my electorate, and also to all the students who came in today on the first day of their holidays to welcome us and who have asked me to say that their Kiwi whānau house is the most important house. Can I just start by saying, look, every parent knows how important it is for their child to learn in a classroom that is warm, safe, dry and well maintained, and when those basics aren't in place, we know that achievement suffers. That's why well maintained classrooms are not a luxury. They are a must-have, and they are a foundation for a very strong education system.
Okay, so we're fixing crappy classrooms finally. It's about time. And changing immigration settings, some bosses will like that, makes it easier to attract migrants here for jobs, doesn't it? But we pay our tax, we expect these sort of policies anyway. But why wasn't this planned 2 years ago, before 11,000 tradies lost their jobs and headed offshore? Is fixing up classrooms going to keep them here? Who knows? But National has nothing more interesting than this right now, does it? We're still in a massive recession, worse than the GFC, and National approaches it like it's business as usual. No wonder voters have drifted away. They not only need policy and some wins, but they surely must start soon to scare New Zealand voters with the thought of the other side in power. Then link them to Labour and Chris Hipkins. The Greens have had a shocking few years now, haven't they? Golri's Garanum, shoplifting, Darling Tunner's fraud. They demoted and challenged James Shaw as co-leader without a natural successor, and that was a stuff-up. When he left, their best brain exited the building. Chloe Swarbrick fronted their alternative budget and spoke about a wealth tax. Her first mistake was saying households are worth hundreds of millions of dollars each. The rest was made up on the hoof. She had little idea, really.
I'm going to be completely honest with you and say that I'm going to need to come back with you to you on those details.
Shouldn't you know this?
Well,
this is your budget.
It is our budget.
These are the central policies to pay for the things that you want to pay for.
Absolutely. And the first thing that I'll say is that we knew that coming and putting this really complex, really coherent, really fulsome piece of work out there, that we would be providing people with all of these details that they could nitpick
if it's coherent,
over.
by all means give us the details. It's not nitpicking to ask. I mean, if you're going to propose more than $70 billion in taxes, it's an obvious question. What are wealthy people going to do? Are they going to go overseas? That's a risk that Treasury has identified. And if you can't tell us how you've accounted for that risk and you want to be considered adult and serious...
What I'm telling you is that we have accounted for those risks, but I don't have those specific figures for you off the top of my head, and I'm more than happy to come back to you on it. And I'm more than happy to talk about the substance of all of this. But again, I don't think that it's a constructive debate if we're just focusing on those gotcha moments.
Found wanting's an understatement when it came to Chloe Swarbrick on the economy. Then there was Benjamin Doyle and the odd and highly inappropriate posts about children. He finally went last week, but not without a weird, garbled speech to say goodbye.
No person should have to remove their child from school due to threats to their life. No person should have to avoid going to the supermarket or the letterbox because they have been advised that doing so could expose them to violence. No person should have to tell their parents that they can't attend the next family event to ensure their safety and privacy is not compromised. And despite that, I have stayed so true to myself and my community. I returned to Parliament when I was informed it would be unsafe to do so, because sometimes love is hard and means making sacrifices. Sometimes it means putting the kaupapa first, putting the needs of our communities, the planet, the generations that are yet to arrive first. I am willing to put my love for these things before my own needs.
I mean, these guys could be in government in a year. How he got there is the Greens issue. The leaders say they told him to clean up his act and they ignored the leaders. We don't need him into Parliament. Beside them is Te Pati Maori, who have been unapologetic and arrogant and racist, and there remains questions over possible electoral fraud with them as well. Their twat-in-chief is Taka Te Ferris, the late-night racist, the man who often posts in the wee small hours. Sleep's not something he needs, apparently.
The vultures in the game swoop in and make a big storm out of it because they want to get some points, right? But didn't really work.
Surely the more the right can talk about Ferris and parade him, the better it is for the chances of getting back into government. Do something. Highlight him. Show everyone what he's like. Attack him. Luxon's so missing in action on this. Drew Brownie's let things slide as well in Parliament, if you look at it. And only Winston and Shane Jones appear to be doing the heavy lifting. Te Pati Maori and the Greens still get soft news coverage. Not from me, not from this podcast, but One News is weak as piss. It's pathetic. These two parties have moved on from their traditional roots and they now sit in Parliament as anarchists or activists, protesters. And I can't name one thing that either have achieved this term. One thing. National's going to have to pile into these idiots if it wants to win. If it wants to get back into office, it's got to pile into them. Show people what they're like. It's too timid. National's too timid, too lame. Too timid, too tame, too lame. Look at Winston.
You watch the next election. And that goes for Te Pati Maori sitting on the left-hand side of the room as well. Oh, no. Listen, sunshine, I'll be around long after you're gone. Because nobody wants the Midnight Cowboy anymore. Right? And we didn't go and defraud. We didn't defraud the Charities Act. We didn't defraud the electoral system, all of which is coming for you, sunshine, next year. You're not getting away, breaking the laws of this country.
National's going to have to get on board with Winston. It's going to have to expose these guys, embarrass them, because you can't rely on the media to do that these days. They get a free, cosy run, these two parties, with the media, and it's left to Winston Peters. Why can't Luxon do that? He's going to need to.
We're going to expose you for what you are. This party is a party of frauds. They've broken the Electoral Act. They've broken the Charity Act. They've made tens of millions on the backs of their people. And now out there in the Maori land, in Northland in particular, and in Auckland, Maori are asking, how come they've made $60 million and it's all in somebody's pockets? And your big loud mouth is not going to help any longer. You know, he's got some idea, if he opens his mouth, let the wind blow his tongue around, he's going to make some sense. Unbelievable. Never seen the likes of it. Maori have been coming here since 1867, and since 1867 those Maori leaders have all respected this parliament. And up turns this crowd over here. So arrogant, so much in rebuttal of all the past respect. And here he is, going, can't even shut his mouth for 5 minutes.
I mean, the Greens want $88 billion in new taxes. Te Pati Maori's got no idea what it wants, but it's not going to be anything particularly reassuring or welcomed by us Pākehās, I imagine.
We know what you are, and your supporters will know even better. Because now in the leadership of Maoridom, they are starting to question the very purpose of the Te Pati Maori. And out there where the real Maori work 2 and 3 jobs a day, they are sick and tired of people like that. And they can't show me one thing they have ever done for the Maori people. Not one. Well, tell me what it is. I'm listening. Tell me what you've done for Maori. Not a word, not a mutter, not a syllable, not a sound. All bull dust.
Hold on.
He can't shut his mouth. He's got away with it all this time. He's got a famous name. Every time he does it, I regret that he's spoiled that name. All the time, people like Ngara, Pomeroy, Baka, don't do him. He thinks he's a genius. Self-made man and all that, and tell me he's in this parliament and he's wasting our time. He's got a contempt for this place. The standards of this parliament have been dramatically deteriorated because of Te Pati Maori. They come in there sometimes bare feet. No respect for the institution, no respect for their colleagues, and you think you're going to get away with it. No, Maori people will take you out of this place because they more than anybody I know, when they go on the marae, they respect the traditions. Every serious Maori I know respects the traditions, and this is the marae for Parliament and for the whole country. And there they go, all talking at once. All talking at once. And then the next thing is, you know something, we've been overseas about 112 days, but I spent more time in Parliament than all those put together. I've been overseas 112 days, but I spent more than Parliament than all of those Te Pati Maori all put together. What a disgrace. Lazy, idle.
National needs to get its attack dogs to expose these frauds. Luxon is missing in action. National's playing it far too safe. They need to get busy real fast.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Okay, so the government has changed immigration settings, making it easier in some instances to get permanent residency. Winston Peters doesn't like it. Employers do. As not being offered a pathway to residency is turning them off New Zealand, so they want to become residents quicker. The Minister of Immigration is Erica Stanford, and she joins me now. Erica, g'day. Nice to see you.
You're very welcome. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it is good to have you back. Well, long time between drinks. It wasn't really, was it? No, it wasn't at all. Now, so this move today, why are we doing it?
Well, essentially, it's to keep really amazing people here. We have got a number of highly skilled people in New Zealand who are working predominantly in trades and technician types roles, but they just don't have a pathway to residence. And if they don't, they'll have to leave. Businesses will have to replace them with another migrant. You'll lose productivity, you'll lose growth, and we'll lose momentum. We won't be able to fulfill export orders. It'll be a real tragedy. And so it may be very clear these are highly skilled people with at least 5 years of experience plus time in New Zealand, and we just can't afford to lose them. And they're everywhere. They're in the regions.
Do we think that we've lost a number already?
I don't think so. I mean, most of them are on a 5-year visa, and that visa won't run out until 2027. But they're now starting to think, it's coming up to 2026. I'm not far off. What am I going to do? I have no pathway. And then they'll start to look at Australia or Canada or other places that they can take their skills to, where people really need them. But actually, we need them here, so we need to encourage them to stay.
I mean, it's ridiculous to think that they spend that time here. They're specialists and expertise in the area, and then we say goodbye to them.
Well, we never used to.
Than that. I know.
We never used to. And this is a hangover, and as much as I don't like talking about Labor, I mean, they took the old points system of immigration pathways to residence, and they completely overhauled it and created a new system that was very, very restrictive. In order to get residence, you have to either earn 1.5 times median wage, which is a lot, you have to have a degree, or you have to be in a registered occupation. So if you think about your refrigeration technician who's out there working in the regions, or your advanced manufacturing worker who might be working in, fitter turner, for example, these guys will not meet those criteria. They don't have a university degree, and so they don't have a pathway to residency, but they've been here for a long time. They're very highly skilled. We desperately need them. So we've just had to create these 2 new pathways to residence within the existing pathways to make sure that they have an opportunity to stay.
Well, why is New Zealand first against it? Because you've used this agree to disagree clause, which is quite mature and everything, but they've disagreed with the approach, which I find strange.
Look, in some ways I do too, because when I look at these types of people, they're amazingly skilled people, and if they were to leave, we'd just have to replace them. This is migrant neutral, if you like, and I listened very carefully to Winston Peters' speech at his conference where he talked about smart immigration and the right immigrants and skilled migrants, and I agreed with everything he said, and that's what we have been doing for the last 18 months. We've completely flipped around the low-skilled to high-skilled workers. We've got far more high-skilled workers coming in. We've stamped out migrant exploitation, and now what this policy is all about is encouraging those very highly skilled people, very targeted select group. We've been very careful about to get them to stay.
Does that mean we have fewer migrants now because we're going for these highly qualified ones and better ones, if you like?
Well, we have fewer migrants coming in on the work visa pathway at the moment just because of the stage we're at in the economy. And if you look at migrant flows, they always follow the economy slightly behind. Actually, there's a slight delay. And so that's why we need to make sure that when the economy picks up, immigration is ready to go, which is why we're
But this is the thing, isn't it? This is the battle for your government is when does the economy pick up? And I know it's one of the things that's testing the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister is that where's this growth? Because, I mean, all these announcements, I suppose, are designed to pick up on that. But
well, my job as part of Christopher Luxon's cabinet is to make sure that we are setting the foundations for that. And so in immigration, we're making sure that the settings are right. We've got the right visas in place. We've overhauled the work visa settings. We've made sure that we've got business investor visas. We've got a whole lot of new visas for seasonal workers. Now, this is the final part of the puzzle to make sure that the really key people will stay here. And in future, when the economy is growing again, businesses know and have confidence that they can go and look around the world to get the highly skilled people they need because they know they've got a pathway to residence. Because imagine selling your home, taking your children out of school, moving halfway across the world. You wouldn't do that unless you knew there was an opportunity to stay.
Yeah, so we've missed out on people.
Oh, look, no doubt we have, but we've been working really hard on this pathway now, and now that it's announced, it will give people security and the sense of they can stay here.
This morning I was at a rugby practice this morning with a South African rugby coach at Mount Albert Grammar, and he's 2.5 years into it. But he's worried about his residency. And I said, you should be fine. This is before your announcement today. And then I came off the rugby field and there was the announcement. But I said, you should be okay. You're highly skilled. You have the support of the Mount Albert Grammar staff and everything. But people are worried. You hear it from them. And this guy this morning was really concerned about his future. He's got 2 young kids.
Yeah, and look, whenever this happens in a community, the first thing you see when someone has to leave is the community rallying around them, right? You see a whole lot of New Zealanders go, but I know that guy. His kids are at school with my kids and he works in this local shop and he's amazing and he's part of my church and he does the volunteer work and we love him and why can't he stay? And so New Zealanders have this innate sense of fairness that actually you're highly skilled, we've been relying on you, you're part of our community, and we want you to be able to stay. But so it's important for our communities, and it's also important, this is not just important for business, but it's important for just everyday New Zealanders knowing that they can get the tradie that they need when something breaks down, that their infrastructure in their local area is being built because we've got the people to do it. So it matters to people and communities as well as businesses. Yeah,
they're your neighbours and they're in the same rugby and soccer teams, whatever. Do New Zealanders miss out on jobs because of this?
No, these are people who've come here because there was no New Zealander to do the job. So we're very careful in immigration to make sure that when you come on a work visa, we properly market test it. And look, sometimes the employers we have to put them through a few hoops. They've got to...
You're unemployed.
Yeah, well, they've got to make sure that they have advertised a job for a certain period of time, that it's a genuine job, that they couldn't fill it for any Kiwis, and we're very strict on watching over that. Then they get their job token and they can hire a migrant if they have really worked the New Zealand system first and made sure they couldn't find a Kiwi, including having to work with MSD to make sure there weren't any people on job seeker.
So how many people do you think this will mean don't leave? How many people does this mean will stay here in New Zealand?
We think somewhere between sort of 3,500 and 7,500. It's hard to know who are here right now, who are working. There is a bit of a peak now at the moment, though, because we've had sort of 3 years of this policy not being in place. We've built up a few numbers, but we think after that initial peak of somewhere between 3,500 and 7,500, that it should, or 8,500 around there, it'll come back to about 5,000, maybe 6,000 after a couple of years, and it'll settle at that rate.
Before you change things, it was a very open door, loose policy. Do we know who came in? Do we know what sort of people came in and where they are now?
We, after COVID, the previous government were under huge pressure. You remember businesses were screaming out and we needed to get people in quickly, and they'd introduced a new AEWV work visa and they'd put it on a new IT platform. It was like a combination of all the things you shouldn't do at the same time and opening the borders. And what it meant was the previous minister was under huge pressure, and essentially Immigration New Zealand had closed their eyes and were signing just approve without properly assessing risk or verifying documentation. And we had thousands of migrants who were flooding in, who were low skilled, who were being sold the idea that they'd have a job. There was no job when they got here. You remember the stories of 40 men in a house
in New Windsor. I remember they lived not far from where I was.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, 37 guys.
And they'd all paid like $30,000, $40,000 for a job. And I mean, once it got out that our borders were compromised, they just flooded in. And so
you stopped that?
Oh, absolutely. That was my first job. Yeah. And also, to be fair, immigration had already started to tighten up just before I got there, but we really put the screws on. I mean, we said if you're coming in as a low-skilled worker, you have to have at least 2 years' experience in the thing you're coming to do. Under those previous settings, we were seeing fishermen coming in to be painters. They'd never held a paintbrush in their lives, and they're clearly to be exploited. So now we're saying you have to have at least 2 years relevant experience. You need to be able to speak a certain degree of low level of English, which stops you from being
So where are those people now that came in? Are they still here or?
Some of them are. They'll be coming up to, though, their maximum continuous stay. So you're only allowed here for 3 years before you have to go if you're a low-skilled worker.
What if they don't want to go? Do they just hide in plain sight, do they?
Well, this is one of the concerns I had at the time when I was in opposition was they're not going to want to go. They've spent a lot of money to be here. Yeah. And this is the problem when your borders are compromised. The types of people you get are desperate and they don't want to leave. So we'll keep a close eye on it. And, of course, there's always enforcement and there are things that immigration can do. But there were a lot of people who came in.
While I've got you here, education. How's the NCA plan going?
Really good. We've closed our consultation period and I had a look at the halfway. I asked them to pull the results and tell me generally where we were at.
Impatient.
Yes, I know. But they said, look, it's overwhelmingly positive. But there are a number of things that have been brought up. We will go back to the principal advisory group and we'll say to them, hey, what do you think about these things? To be honest with you, they're things I've already thought of. Look, I'm not opposed to making some changes and we'll go out and do some targeted consultation to see if those changes are what the sector wants.
It seems to be that everyone's on board, largely.
Look, I do too. I do too. But there are always things that we can improve. And I get it from some schools' perspective. They're worried kids will fail. But
that's it's been too easy to pass.
I know.
And so we need some rigour.
You can't keep lowering the bar and saying that this is equity. We're lowering the bar so everyone can get over it in the name of equity. That's a false equity, my friend.
Well, that's a fraud. It's actually a fraud because when they get out to the real world, you can't spell your name.
No. We have to be more ambitious. We have to raise the bar and then raise academic achievement in those young people so they can get over that bar so that they can have a meaningful qualification and go on to live amazing lives. And that's what we're doing.
So will more people fail?
I don't, it's not my intention. That's why we are undertaking this enormous reform process. You can't look at NCA in isolation. You have to look at it within the entire reform process, which is structured literacy, structured maths, explicit teaching, the new knowledge-rich curriculum year by year, all of the things we're doing, the learning support we're putting in place, the tens of thousands of teachers we've trained in structured literacy, structured maths. All of that is leading to young people who are at curriculum by the time they get to high school.
Yeah, and you can see it's starting to improve.
Absolutely is. And we'll have some data later in the year, which will be really encouraging. I've seen some bits of it already.
You've pulled that as well. I
know. I keep getting things early. I am impatient. But I do know that we've got a cohort right now who won't have the full benefit of that, who are essentially at intermediate, right, or lower secondary. So that's why we are flooding in targeted resource. We're doing maths tutoring. 34,000 kids next year at intermediate will get one-on-one maths tutoring. 150,000.
Is it because they're so far behind on those numbers?
150,000 kids are going to get additional writing help. So we are doing this targeted intervention to make sure those young people will be
so
on
those
track.
year 9s and 10s now, who won't be impacted by the new NCA.
Like my son.
Yeah, like my son too. Hence why I bring this up. I worry for them.
Look, I think my son is going to go through NCEA, and I've always said, it is still a good qualification if you work hard and you turn up. And he will go through NCEA. He could do International Baccalaureate, IB. We are going to choose NCEA. My daughter was the same. But we can make much, we can improve the system so much more than it is now. So, and we will do that. But look, there is the concern that we'll have more students who aren't going to pass. It's my job to make sure that they do, and that's why this enormous flood of resource.
You have to, and just finding some of these schools, some of these big schools like Rangi and like Mags are under real pressure with roles, and I don't know why, because it's still the same area. Is it housing intensification? What is it? Why are we having more and more kids enroll in these schools?
It is housing intensification. People want to go to those schools. They're excellent schools. I mean, they're run by excellent principals. Patrick Drum and Patrick Gale are two of the best principals in New Zealand, and people flock to those schools. And, this is one of the things we are going to look at in the future is the zoning rules in New Zealand. And it's something we are going to need to take a look at, because essentially you've got excellent schools who are doing really well. And I've got other areas of New Zealand where up the road I've got a failing school.
Yeah, well, you've basically got a campus empty.
Yeah, well, but if you can't afford to move,
you're stuffed.
So, we really need to look at, in the end, I care about students and making sure that they're getting the best and what is the best outcome for them, and not worried about adult things about zoning and all of this. It's like, what is the best outcome for that child?
Patrick Drum's comments this week, and you would have seen them earlier in the week, he said, we need another school. I can't do this.
Well, he is an excellent principal. I'm sure he could probably manage 2 schools.
Well, he might have to. Erica, we'll leave it there. Nice to see you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, letters for the editor. Time to do this now. G'day, Duncan. I'm a listener of yours. Great stuff. I like how you get to the point and you don't worry about the offending people when needed. You've touched on the subject of WINS payments in the past. One thing never discussed is the fact the country pays so much towards child support to kids between the ages of 15 and 18. And we do that when they're having babies that they can support. Why is it that they're not old enough to drink and vote and other things, but we allow these kids to legally have kids? I believe the law needs to change. If you can't support your own self, you shouldn't be allowed to create poverty, and also have a cost to the taxpayer as well, and medical costs being used to support them as well. Maybe something can be discussed and put out there, Duncan. Thanks, Cody. You want to get rid of the DPB. Then what happens to the kids? Yeah. It's a bit of a crux-22, that, isn't it? I think our welfare is too loose. I think the welfare system is far too loose. You've got to tighten it up. Why do we pay people to stay at home? Why do we pay grown men and young men to stay at home and do nothing? I don't understand it. Right, that is us. Thanks so much for your feedback. You can get hold of me, of course, Duncan at rover.nz. To my team, Brody, thank you, sir. Lockie, thank you, sir. All your hard work. And we'll do this again tomorrow. Don't forget, life is no dress rehearsal. There's no curtain raiser. This is it. We're in one of the best places on earth, so get out and enjoy it. Please subscribe. And also thanks to the Brothers Green for their ongoing support of the podcast and our paid subscription service, which will give you all sorts of things more than just the normal podcast. Bonus editions, a newsletter, all sorts of things. That is coming very, very shortly. Stand by, $7.99 a month. Less than the price of a beer, and you'll get so much more content as well. I mean, I'll be working harder, but I'll be giving it to you. Okay, that's us, folks. We'll catch you tomorrow. Ta-ra.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief, sponsored by the Brothers Green. Feed your gut what it needs. Digest Gut Health Protein Powder. I use it myself. It supports natural digestion and gut health. Made with premium Canterbury-grown hemp powder and a unique blend of active kiwifruit enzyme powder and kiwifruit skin extract, offering natural prebiotics and a nutrient-rich profile to complement a balanced lifestyle. Always read the label. Take as directed. Supplementary, of course, to a balanced diet. The Brothers Green, Christchurch.